This time on Great British Menu,
Should I be worried?
Should always be worried.
the nation's best chefs
I didn't come here to lose, you know?
are challenged to plate up impeccable 21st century dishes
You'd struggle to find anyone that couldn't like that.
for the chance to cook at a celebratory banquet,
How you feeling?
Stressed.
marking 100 years of the Women's Institute at London's magnificent Drapers Hall, where pioneers of the WI once gathered. Going head-to-head this week for London and the South East, returning contender Matt Gillen, who's determined this year to make it to the banquet.
I know how tough it is in this kitchen, but this year, I am ready for it.
He faces fierce competition in two ambitious newcomers. Marcus Waring's protégé, Mark Freudeland,
I've trained under the best, and this week I'm going to make it count.
and rising star on the London restaurant scene, Lee Westcott.
I'm young, I'm ambitious, I'm here to prove that I can make it all the way to the banquet.
Both are vying to pit Matt to the post.
The returning chef must be pretty nervous, right?
But can the two first-timers handle the pressure of the kitchen?
No timing problems?
No, another minute in the pan.
Okay.
Oh, when did my timer go off? Who turned that timer off?
The Women's Institute was created in 1915 to encourage women to grow and preserve food. 100 years on, the WI has become the last word in home cooking. The chefs must create dishes that celebrate the generations of women who've helped put British cuisine on the map. They've researched the rich history of the organisation,
They look very grand, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Morning, ladies.
visited local members,
Let me introduce two more members of RWI.
and taken inspiration from the women in their families.
She's to cater for between 20 to 200 people.
Really?
To turn home-cooked classics into modern masterpieces.
That is wonderful.
Judging the chefs this week is someone who's no stranger to the pressure of the Great British Menu kitchen.
It's 2 years ago since I was last here, but those nerves, those feelings, they've all come back. Any thoughts? What do you think are going to be?
A little feeling it might be Sat Baines.
Twice a banquet champion
Daniel Clifford, I think he'd be a tough one to go up against.
Yeah.
and holder of 2 Michelin stars, Daniel Clifford.
Morning, chefs. How are you?
Morning.
Morning.
Morning, Matt.
The chef?
You all right?
Yeah.
How you feeling?
Even more nervous now, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah.
Lee, it's your first time in the competition. How you feeling?
I'm very, very nervous.
Really?
Very nervous. I'm excited, though.
Mark, you work for Marcus Waring. Obviously, massive shoes to fill. You know, boys, this year, WI, they've got amazing standards. I've got high standards. I'm expecting great things. Don't let me down.
How you feeling, mate?
First up, Michelin-starred returning contender Matt Gillen, who has a lot to prove, having failed to cook for the judges 2 years ago.
Have you felt your plate?
Yeah.
You just put it on the cold plate. Matt, so near. Commiserations.
This year, he's more determined than ever.
Being the only returning chef in this round, I'm feeling the pressure, but I'm also just raring to go and to get all the way. I'm going to the banquet this year.
Having worked as a junior sous chef for Daniel Clifford, Matt knows his high standards all too well.
It's been a long time. Well, I remember you were probably the most creative person I had in the kitchen, and I'm hoping to see exactly the same today. What's your inspiration for this whole menu today?
So my menu is based on the timeline of the Women's Institute.
What's the name of the dish?
My dish is So Growing, and it's based on the onion.
You've got 0 protein in your box. Is there a reason for that?
In 1915, when the Women's Institute started, they grew all their vegetables themselves during the wartime. I wanted to reflect that in this box. So with the brown onions, we take the skin and all the trim, we'll make a stock with that. With the actual onion, we're going to caramelise that, make a puree. Got silver skin onions,
Yep.
peel those down, and we're going to cook those in malt extract.
Okay.
With the griots, peel those down. Again, all the trim's going to go into the stock.
So if I don't like onion, you're pretty knackered.
Yeah. Yeah, so I hope you like onion. Apples,
Yep.
make a caramel stock, and then we're just going to finish it with a little bit of muscatel vinegar.
OK.
Make it a little bit interesting. I'm going to make a soil, but I'm going to use cocoa nib.
And this one?
So that's apple juice. So that's going to be for the caramel stock for the apples.
Matt, great box of ingredients, vegetarian. I can't wait to see the dish on a plate. Matt's dish, Sowing and Growing. It's very different. There's no protein in there at all. I personally think it's a great starter, but it's got to work on the plate.
Newcomer Mark Freudeland is head chef at Marcus Waring's 2 Michelin-starred restaurant. He believes his dish will showcase his top-notch skills.
Morning. Very well, thanks, yeah.
Beautiful box of ingredients. Tell me about the dish.
The name of the dish is Not Such a Tart.
OK. What's your inspiration?
So one of my favourite memories about my grandmother here, Pam, is her jam tarts. She used to make them for us after school with a cup of tea. So this is a savoury play on a jam tart.
What are you using for the base of the tart?
Making a frangipane, but making it more savoury.
Veal sweetbreads?
They're a key part of the tart.
How are you going to cook them?
Roasted veal sweetbreads, and then glazing those with the rose hips. So these are something that's new to me. So we're making a syrup with this, setting it with some agar. It's not a classic jam, but I think it's a great representation of the preserving history of the WI.
And the alcohol?
Yeah, all those are being used to marinate and to cook the chicken livers.
OK.
So chicken liver parfait, another key part of the tart. So marinated with the alcohols, blended, finished with butter. For the tea, making an onion consommé.
OK.
Flavouring it with the Worcestershire sauce. Onion powder as well, just really trying to intensify the onion flavour. And the brown sauce, just really picking up on those really rich onion flavours.
You're both making a consommé, which would be really interesting. But if you can pull this off, it's going to be a showstopper. I think he's clearly a very, very talented chef. My only fear is it's very rich, chicken liver parfait, sweetbreads. It's all heavy ingredients.
Last up, rising star Lee Westcott. Ambitious Lee hopes his modern cooking style will stand up against his Michelin-starred rivals.
How are you?
Very well, thank you.
So, Lee, what is the inspiration for your dish?
One of the causes that the WI backed, it was called Mission Milk, obviously the name of my dish. And it was just to support the British dairy farmers.
Brilliant.
And this is quite close to my heart because this is my grandma. She owned a farm.
Oh, OK.
And I just have these fond memories of drinking this sort of warm, creamy, thick milk, which always sort of stuck with me. And that really was just my inspiration for this dish.
Brilliant.
So, with the raw milk,
right,
I'm going to set it into a curd, infuse that with flavours. I am doing a raw beef dish, so for me, I'm using bavette. I'm going to scrape this down. I'm going to serve this with beetroot in a couple of forms.
OK.
So I'm going to stock bake them and smoke them. Second element I'm going to make is the smoked gel.
And then you've got some beautiful eggs.
Which I'm going to cook them in the water bath into a nice silky puree. And then I feel like you've got to have a sort of balance in flavours. So for me, I'm going to do some pickled mouli. That's just sweetness and sharpness to the dish.
And this?
This is the beef fat. This I'll be rendering down very slowly, and that I'll be cooking some breadcrumbs in there.
So you're excited about this one?
I am, yeah. This is sort of personal, this one.
Yeah. Yeah, Mission Milk. I really don't understand where the milk is coming into the dish. To me, it sounds like a restaurant dish. I'm really excited. I think, London, you've got a massive reputation. You know, all of you are fantastic cooks. I'm expecting really high marks this week, so good luck, boys, yeah?
As cooking gets underway, newcomer Lee is sussing out his rivals.
The returning chef must be pretty nervous, right?
It is nerve-wracking. It's good to finally get in the kitchen, to be honest.
Matt's vegetarian dish, Sowing and Growing, features onions cooked 4 ways. Both he and Mark are making an onion consommé.
Are you both kind of confident that yours is better than the others?
I'm hoping they'll both be different, I think.
Yeah, I think they will be different, but, you know, if I mess mine up, I'll borrow something else. It's all right.
Wind them up a little bit about it earlier, but I'm actually quite excited to see how they're going to be different, you know?
Mark's savoury spin on the classic jam tart features a second onion element, a puree for the base.
First there was fear, anxiety. Now I start cooking and everything's falling into place, so the nerves have settled down a bit.
But it's newcomer Lee whose raw beef, beetroot and milk curd starter is the most complicated dish, with 8 elements. Starting with mouli, a type of radish, he dices half and cuts the rest into discs, which he pickles and infuses with thyme and bay leaves.
Pressure's on now.
It sounds as though he's looking for some classic cooking as well.
All I've got is vegetables. You know, I'm hitching up a few onions against your beef and sweetbreads.
I'm sure there'll be good onions, though.
I hope so.
Matt Gillen runs The Pass in Sussex, where he combines innovative techniques with everyday ingredients, a skill that earned Matt a Michelin star in 2011.
I use a lot of techniques, I use a lot of equipment you probably wouldn't use at home, but I use a lot of ingredients that are accessible to home.
2 years ago, Matt was an early casualty in the competition. This year, he's desperate to cook for the judges.
This time round, different competition, different brief, very different Matt, and this time I'm going all the way.
To give himself the edge over his rivals, Matt did his research and discovered that the first WI meeting in England took place near his restaurant. He's meeting Singleton WI president Lisa Emerson and member Janet Holt, who know how visionary their predecessors were.
The ladies in here, they were really, really hard working.
They're out there digging in their long skirts. Incredible, wonderful women.
Really is truly inspirational, the whole story.
They were true pioneers.
To see if his starter meets with approval from the WI, he's giving Lisa and Janet a taste of the soil element.
Absolutely lovely.
Thank you. I love the fact that the ladies enjoyed my edible soil with the onion. It gives me real confidence going into this dish.
Matt knows he can't play it safe if he wants to redeem himself and get to this year's banquet. So he's taking a big risk cooking a vegetarian starter.
I've taken an onion on my dish and I've totally made it the style of the show. So many techniques involved, so many different onions, so there's different flavours, and just hope that you can see what I'm trying to achieve.
He preps the second of his onion elements, cooking whole Grelot onions in oil and butter, which he finishes off in the oven. Next, he preps onion vinegar pearls by heating muscatel vinegar.
What's going on here?
So making the base to the pearls for muscatel onion pearls. It's got a nice acidity with it. Should balance out really nicely. Have a taste. Something a little bit exciting for a plate of onions.
Do you think this is going to be enough to cut through the sweetness of the onions?
Yeah, definitely.
I think it's a great idea. I can see it going with the onions, but is this dish going to be suitable for the banquet?
Matt moves on to another onion element, silver skins in butter with malt extract. Whilst Lee works on his dish of fine raw beef, beetroot and milk curd, adding earthy flavours to beetroot chunks by smoking them in wood chips.
These are smocking.
Marcus Waring's protégé Mark is marinating shallots in milk for the crispy topping of his dish. He then starts the frangipane mix for his faux jam tart cases, ready for piping.
Do you find it's easier to have someone like Marcus on your side?
I think it's good. I think it adds a different pressure.
Is this a dish Marcus has tried?
Yeah, he's tried it.
Has he let you get on with the brief yourself and then giving you feedback as you've gone along?
Exactly, yeah. I put the whole thing together and he's just sort of been you.
Let's hope he's got it right.
Mark Freudeland is head chef at Great British Menu heavyweight Marcus Waring's 2 Michelin-starred restaurant.
Main course, 1 salmon, 1 pork. I've been working with Marcus for 8 years now, and I definitely think it's my time to shine and step forward and to show what I can do.
Before Mark attempts to take his starter to the banquet, he wants the approval of his mentor, Marcus.
You've been there and you've done it in the competition. Is there any advice you give me?
Only way you're going to win this competition is by having that little extra edge. Everything that you've learned, you're going to have to draw on it and you're going to have to bring it to the table.
I value Marcus's opinion a lot. He's a great chef. He knows exactly how flavours should come together, what to do if they're not quite working.
I like it. I think it's really good. Pulling back on the sweetness and adding in the spice is delicious. It works well.
Great.
Really good.
I'm really pleased with his reaction. I know there's a few things to work on still, but I know now we're definitely heading in the right direction.
Mark's my protégé. I think he can get to the banquet. I certainly think he's good enough. It's all really down to him.
But in this kitchen, it's Daniel who Mark needs to impress. For his tart filling, he marinates chicken livers in milk, port, sherry and brandy. He's prepped the rosehip jam and pours it into moulds to cool in the chiller.
Apart from the fact that it's a savoury tart, I think there's some strong flavours in there, which might not be to everyone's taste. Yeah, I'm worried.
Matt's cooking a risky onion-based vegetarian starter and is making his soil, adding black onion seed to bread and cocoa nib and malt extract before hardening in the oven. For Lee's modern starter of fine raw beef and milk curd, he combines bread with beef dripping for crispy breadcrumbs and preps for his egg yolk puree.
Oh, where's that spoon gone?
Your dish is inspired by your grandma's.
I think it is additional pressure, but in a way it's a good thing. It pushes you on to do a bit more, maybe. You want to do it proud.
Yeah, I'll start crying now. It's just the onions, though.
Lee Westcott is a rising star on the London restaurant scene.
Right, check on, boys. 2 7-course.
He may not have a coveted Michelin star like his rivals, but having worked under Great British menu heavyweight Tom Aikins, Lee is ready to prove himself.
Yeah, I guess I am feeling confident. I've got a good fighting chance of winning this, so quite excited.
Last year, Lee started his first solo venture, the Typing Room in East London, and is hoping to marry his modern cooking style with the brief by drawing on the ladies who've influenced him.
There's been a lot of women throughout my life that have inspired me, my mum and my grandma, and I really just hope that I do them proud throughout this competition.
Lee's Mission Milk starter was inspired by his gran, but it was her mother who handed down recipes to the family.
Your Nan Young was very much an embodiment of what the WI itself aspires to. She made her own cake, she made butter. She was quite an inspiration to most of us children and also passing on through the family.
This dish is really just inspired by Nan Young's farm. I remember the milk. When I had the WI, they did a huge campaigning for the dairy cows. I just wanted to put the two together.
That's really good.
It's been really nice to come back to my nan's house today and sort of reliving the memories, and it's actually reminding me of what it's all about. And I've just got a lot more confidence on this now.
In the kitchen, Lee is working on a technical element of his raw beef and milk curd starter, smoking baked beetroot discs. But he still needs to make his egg yolk puree.
Oh, when did my timer go off? Who turned that timer off?
He cracks on with his egg yolk puree, then starts the centerpiece of his farm-inspired starter, the milk curd.
This is one of your strongest dishes, yeah?
I'd say they're all as good as each other.
I like that. I like that. Fighting talk, boys. It looks like he's taken dishes from his menu and tweaked them to go onto this brief. And sometimes that can be the biggest problem of chefs entering this competition.
For his curd, the milk must cool naturally to 37 degrees. He then adds a curdling agent and fills his mini urns that will set in the fridge. For Matt, the pressure's kicked in and he's the first to plate up his sowing and growing vegetarian starter, inspired by the first roll of the ladies of the WI.
Do you think people are going to miss the meat, Matt?
As a nod to what the ladies did in 1915, I think it is the perfect opening dish for a banquet.
Matt combines malt onions, caramelised apple balls, and onion vinegar pearls into a vegetable box. Covers them in onion puree and layers on top grillo onions, edible soil, and pickled turnips before garnishing with edible flowers.
I feel like there should be that kind of dramatic music.
He places his vegetable boxes on a cress bed and finally adds miniature watering cans of onion clove stock.
Sowing and growing.
What do you think, boys?
Awesome.
So that's what it does.
Is this the dish that's going to take you all the way to the banquet?
I think it'd be a really nice way to open the banquet.
Should we go and try it?
Let's.
OK, so how would I eat this?
So in the watering can, we've got onion and clove stock. So
Baby onions are really good. And
For me, they're perfect.
yeah,
They really are.
strongest onion flavour in there, I think.
And what about the grilled onions? Are you happy with the way they're cooked?
yeah, happy with them.
The edible salt, it adds to another texture.
Yeah.
Do you think it might lose some of that texture as it sits in the other elements?
Yeah, I think it would. It would start to go soft.
Matt, are you satisfied as you start eating the dish the way that it looks?
I'm happy.
Puree's really good. I think it's a little bit wetter than I have it.
Yeah, I think because the puree's a bit wet, it makes it messy. That's my only comment on it, really.
So, Matt, if you was me, what would you judge your dish?
I'm hoping for an 8 minimum on this dish.
OK.
So I think for me, I'd give this an 8.
I think I'd give it a 7. The consistency is just not quite there. Hey, Matt, how'd it go?
Done. Relieved.
Do you think you liked it?
You just don't know. You'll find out in a minute.
How are you getting on, Mark? Ready?
Yeah, good, nearly there. Just
No timing problems?
No, should be good.
Mark is next to plate up with his Not Such a Tart starter, a savoury take on a classic jam tart inspired by his grandmother. To ensure his dish is served warm, he's taken the risky move of cooking his sweetbreads at the last minute.
You should be really starting to come up to the pass now.
With the sweetbread cooking in the pan, Mark arranges the frangipane tart cases, adding a spoon of roast onion puree.
Yeah, sweetbreads just need another minute in the pan.
Okay. So you're 2 minutes over at the moment, yeah?
Okay.
His sweetbreads are finally ready. He glazes them with rosehip syrup and pours his onion consommé into a china teapot.
Has Marcus changed to china at the restaurant?
No, these are from his home.
Oh.
The sliced sweetbread is covered with chicken liver parfait and topped with rosehip jam. But in the rush to deliver, Mark's forgotten his crispy shallot topping.
Not such a tart is the name of the dish.
What do you think, boys?
It's lovely.
Yeah, that's nice.
Very different.
Very different. Yeah.
Let's go and try it. So, Mark, this is your dish. It's basically tartan tea. I think they'd be surprised when they get this.
I think when you eat it as a dish, it makes sense as a starter, even though it looks like a dessert to start with.
It's a jam tart.
It is, it's a tart.
That's cool.
A bit different to yours.
Yeah, a little bit.
Do you feel that seasoned right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's really intense.
It's got like a kick at the end of it, isn't it?
Mark, is there anything on that dish you'd change?
Yeah, it's a shame. Forgotten the crispy onions. They're still in the kitchen.
The texture's lovely on the frangipane.
Yeah, it's cooked really well. The savoury frangipane does cut through the sweetness of everything else.
And the sweetbreads, you happy with that?
Yeah, I think the sweetbread's good.
Do you think veal sweetbread's the way to kick off a banquet?
It's quite heavy.
Do you feel it's too rich for a starter?
I think the occasion calls for a rich starter. It's a celebration, so we should be looking to impress.
I'd give Mark's dish an 8.
I would give it a 7.
Okay.
I don't know if he got his parfait right.
Hey, guys. Hey, Chief. Forgot my crispy onion garnish, so pretty gutted about that.
Lee is also racing against the clock to plate up his fine raw beef, beetroot and milk curd starter. With 8 elements to his mission milk dish, the pressure is on, and he has a problem.
I burned my breadcrumbs. I left it for just 1 slight second and they went a bit black.
He works on the raw beef base, scraping off layers of bavette.
There's a fair few elements going on.
Yeah, I have. Bit pushed for time as well.
Yeah.
Lee, how are you getting on?
Yeah, a little bit under pressure, Chef.
Onto a vintage milk crate, he presses his raw beef into the casing.
That's it, time's up, Lee.
Followed by his rescued beef dripping breadcrumbs. With the casing removed, he sprinkles on diced pickled mouli,
That's 2 minutes over your allotted time.
smoked beetroot gel, and discs. Next, he pipes on the egg yolk puree. With the clock ticking, he arranges the pickled mouli discs and garnishes with foraged herbs.
Right, we're coming up to 5 minutes now.
Before finally adding his raw mini milk curds to the tray.
What do you think, boys?
Yeah, it's fun, isn't it? It's cool.
Let's go and taste it. So, Lee, first dish up. You happy?
Overall, I'm happy. I'm just a little bit disappointed that I wasn't up on time, you know.
It's really herby, it's infused. That's actually really tasty.
Yeah.
And this is the pickled mouli.
That is, yeah.
Pickled mouli is really good. It brings everything together.
This is the smoked beetroot gel. You think that's smoky enough?
For me, yes.
Well, definitely spoke to that.
Yeah.
The raw beef, it's not like chewing on a raw piece, the way he's ground it up.
It's quite creamy almost.
Yeah.
The breadcrumbs, are they the texture that you was looking for?
Yeah. The soft beef on the bottom, and I think you just get that crunch from the breadcrumbs.
So we pretty much devoured this, but we've still got the milk.
Does it even need the milk?
If it doesn't have the milk, then does it lose its story?
Do you feel that the WI will get your message?
As it's called Mission Milk, they'll understand that it's to do with the dairy farmers.
If I was going to score this, I'd have to give it a 9. The beef's exceptional. My only question would be whether it needs the milk or not.
I'd give this an 8. Don't see it opening the banquet.
Hi, guys.
How'd it go?
It's all right. I was a little bit disappointed that I weren't up on time. Nervous?
Yeah. Yeah.
I know I am.
Yeah, I just want to find out now.
Hello, chefs. How are you feeling?
Nervous.
Matt, I'm going to start with you. You're sowing and growing with flavours of onion, cocoa nib, malt soil and turnips. I thought the presentation was really pretty. I think it fits the brief. I love the idea of a little watering can. However, I felt after 2 mouthfuls, it was all very samey. I felt all the onions were cooked very similar. When you watered over the garden, it sort of made it a little bit more sloppy. I just felt the dish needed work. Mark, for your chicken liver parfait, crispy sweetbreads, rose hip jam and frangipane. The presentation, I think, is really clever. I think it really did look like a jam tart. And I like the idea of starting the banquet with a cup of tea, because every meeting the WI have, they start with a cup of tea. However, I found the dish really rich, and I think even myself would struggle to eat that dish and then 3 more courses afterwards. And you forgot an element. A chef of your standing, you shouldn't be forgetting things at this level of your career. Lee, for your mission milk with raw beef, smoked beetroot and milk curd, I was really worried about serving raw beef. But the way you presented it, I think you really pulled it off. The milk curd, I thought it was really tasty. I could really taste the thyme, and I think it worked together with the dish. However, I found this beef slightly bland. I just felt it needed a little bit more seasoning. Lee, for me, this dish, it has legs in this competition, but you need to deliver the message in a clearer way. Maybe underneath a little picture of your nan, just so people can get that connection from you to the dish. So, to the scores. Matt? I'm going to give you a 5. Mark? I'm going to give you a 5 as well. Lee? I'm giving you a 7. You are the most up-and-coming chefs in London and the South East, and it needs to be seen on the plate. Thank you very much.
I'm really disappointed with my starter score. I thought it was balanced well enough, but Daniel didn't agree.
You did not deserve 5. No way. Getting a 7 for my first course. Feel a bit more confident about the fish course now.
Really gutted with a 5 for my starter. I have to make sure I deliver for him for the rest of the week.
If you've missed any of the most recent episodes of Great British Menu, catch up on BBC iPlayer. Coming up, we get busy with the quizzy for Monday nights. It's University Challenge next on BBC Two, followed by a team with a passion for publishing against another with a weakness for words on Only Connect at 8:30.